He became the most feared clown in history. Every town has its ghost stories, doesn't it? But in the fictional town of Harmony Creek, the boogeyman was all too real, and he didn't hide under the bed. He was the one you invited to the party. This is the story of how a gentle party clown, after being humiliated and broken, cooked up a series of revenge plots so terrifyingly weird that he became the most feared clown in history. It's a chilling reminder that sometimes the most horrific monsters are the ones we create ourselves. The gentle clown. In the storybook town of Harmony Creek, a place that only exists in this story, lived a man named Arthur Pinstripe, but nobody knew him by that name. To everyone, especially the kids he delighted, he was simply Pippin the Clown. Arthur wasn't just a guy in a costume, he was a real artist of joy. His life's mission was simple, to hear kids laugh. He wasn't your loud, boisterous type. Pippin was gentle, almost shy, with a soft smile painted over his own quiet one. His acts were less about clumsy slapstick and more about quiet magic. A perfectly folded balloon animal, a coin pulled from an ear, a flower that squirted just a tiny puff of water. For years, Arthur was a beloved part of Harmony Creek. He showed up for every birthday, every town fair, every hospital charity event. He remembered every kid's name, their favorite color, and the balloon animal they'd asked for last year. His small, neat cottage was filled not with personal things, but with the tools of his trade: props, fabrics, and books on magic and comedy. His personal life was a total blank slate. Pippin was his identity. He found his purpose in the small moments of happiness he could give to others. He was a simple man who saw the world in bright, primary colors. He was safe. He was loved. And he had no idea he was standing on a fault line, seconds away from a disaster that would swallow him whole and spit out a monster. The tremor that shattered Arthur's world came in the form of 3 young men: Chad, Bryce, and Kyle. They were Harmony Creek's golden boys, sons of the town's richest and most powerful families. Chad was the ringleader, a charismatic bully who believed the world was his personal playground. Bryce was the tech-savvy brains who loved digital cruelty. And Kyle was the muscle, a jock whose only real talent was enforcing Chad's will. They walked through town like they owned it, their casual cruelty excused by their parents' money. To them, people like Arthur weren't really people. They were just props for their own amusement. And they were about to make Arthur the star of their cruelest prank yet. The stage for Arthur's humiliation was the annual Founders' Day festival. Arthur was, as always, the main event for the kids. He was in his element, juggling rainbow-colored pins for a crowd of delighted children. It was a perfect moment. And that's when they made their move. It started with a jeer from the back. Chad, with his 2 cronies, started mocking Arthur's act. The kids looked confused, their laughter dying down. Arthur tried to ignore it, his painted smile tightening. But they got bolder, shoving kids aside to get to the center of the circle. Bryce held up his phone, live streaming it all. "Look at this pathetic joke," Chad announced. Kyle snatched the juggling pins out of the air and threw them in the mud. Arthur froze, his heart pounding. He tried to ask them to stop, but the words wouldn't come. Then came the grand finale. They had brought a bucket filled with a stinking mix of spoiled milk, mud, and glitter. With a dramatic bow, Chad dumped it all over Arthur's head. The cold, foul liquid washed away his painted smile and matted his rainbow wig to his scalp. The glitter stuck to him like a skin of shame. The world went silent for a second, and then it was filled with a sound that would haunt Arthur forever. Laughter. Not the sweet laughter of children, but the cruel, mocking laughter of the golden boys. And worse, the nervous laughs of the adults in the crowd, the same people whose kids he'd entertained for years, now too scared of the boys' powerful parents to step in. The livestream was titled, "Pippin the Clown Has a Meltdown." In that moment, Arthur Pinstripe died, his gentle soul shattered, and through the cracks, something cold and dark began to seep in. He slowly turned and walked away, leaving a trail of muddy water and glitter as the laughter echoed behind him like a death knell. The orchestration of revenge. Arthur stumbled home, the reek of humiliation clinging to him. He stared at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, a grotesque, smeared mess. The gentle smile was gone, replaced by a twisted mask of rage. He began to laugh. It started as a choked sob, but grew into a hysterical, unhinged cackle that echoed off the tiles. It was a laugh with no joy, a terrifying sound of a mind snapping. This wasn't Pippin the Clown anymore. This was the birth of something else. When the laughter finally stopped, Arthur looked into the mirror and the eyes staring back weren't his. They were cold, calculating, and filled with a terrible new purpose. The world had shown him a cruel, laughing mask. He decided it was time to show the world a new one. His revenge wouldn't be simple violence. No, his revenge would be a performance. A series of dark comedies, each tailored to his tormentors. He was a clown, after all. The show had to go on. But this show would be a horror story, and the punchlines would be deadly. Arthur Pinstripe vanished. He sold his cottage, emptied his bank accounts, and disappeared. Harmony Creek barely noticed. They figured the pathetic clown had just moved away, defeated. They were wrong. He hadn't left. He'd just gone underground to plan his masterpiece. First up was Bryce, the one who orchestrated his digital shame. Bryce lived online, so Arthur decided to burn that world to the ground. He started small, using his new, obsessive knowledge of coding. He hacked Bryce's smart home. Lights flickered. The heat would suddenly drop to freezing. Alexa would whisper his name when he was alone. Little things to make him feel watched. Then Arthur went bigger. He got into all of Bryce's social media and bank accounts. But he didn't just delete them. He orchestrated a spectacular public implosion. He faked embarrassing conversations, making it look like Bryce was betraying everyone he knew. He drained his bank accounts, donating every penny to clown-themed charities in Bryce's name. Bryce's phone became a torture device, constantly buzzing with notifications of his own social ruin. His friends abandoned him, and his parents, embarrassed, cut him off. The final act was a deepfake video. It showed a perfect loop of Bryce, his face twisted in terror, watching the original video of Pippin's humiliation, while a high-pitched, manic clown laugh grew louder and louder. Arthur set this video as the screensaver on Bryce's phone, his laptop, his smart TV, everywhere. Bryce completely fell apart. He became a paranoid wreck, smashing all his devices, convinced he was being haunted by a digital clown ghost. He was found weeks later, babbling in his dark mansion, destroyed not by a weapon, but by a whisper and the echo of a laugh. With one down, Arthur turned his attention to Kyle, the jock. Kyle's identity was built on two things: his muscles and his prized sports car. Arthur decided to use both against him in a twisted bit of slapstick horror. He started by messing with his life, replacing his protein powder with a flavorless laxative, and reprogramming his car's GPS to constantly route him to circus supply stores. But the car was the main event. Over several weeks, Arthur broke into Kyle's garage and modified it. He rewired the airbags, swapping them for industrial-strength confetti cannons. He filled the ventilation system with nitrous oxide, laughing gas, and he hollowed out the driver's seat, packing it with a compressed bundle of balloon animals rigged to a pressure sensor. The trap was set. Arthur tipped off the police about a street racer at a deserted industrial park, knowing Kyle couldn't resist. As Kyle sped down the road, Arthur remotely activated the vents, slowly filling the car with laughing gas. Kyle started giggling, confused. Then, a drone painted with a clown face dropped firecrackers in front of the car. The bang made Kyle swerve hard. The result was instant and horrifying. The confetti cannons exploded with incredible force, blasting him with sharp mylar confetti. At the same time, the balloon animals in his seat inflated with explosive speed, twisting around his chest and neck, fatally constricting him. The car crashed into a barrier. When the police arrived, they found a scene of bizarre horror. Kyle was dead in the driver's seat, a grin still on his face from the gas, covered in confetti and choked by a brightly colored balloon animal. The media called it a freak accident, but some people in Harmony Creek whispered that it was too weird, too specific. The town's fear began to grow. The boogeyman, two golden boys, were gone, their lives destroyed by acts of vengeance that were as brilliant as they were terrifying. The peace in Harmony Creek was shattered. Fear had taken root. The story of the humiliated clown wasn't funny anymore. It was the start of a local horror story. People started seeing things in the shadows, a flash of color, the distant sound of circus music, a single red balloon tied to a sewer grate. The legend of Pippin, the vengeful ghost in grease paint, was born. He became the town's boogeyman. Now, we need to be clear here. This isn't the story of a real-life killer clown like John Wayne Gacy. Gacy, who performed as Pogo the Clown, was a serial killer who tortured and murdered at least 33 young men and boys in the Chicago suburbs. He was a monster who hid his horrific crimes, burying most of his victims in the crawlspace under his house. Arthur Pinstripe's story is a fictional tale of revenge. He wasn't a psychopath hiding his true nature. He was a victim, broadcasting his rage. He had become a dark fable about what happens when you push a good man too far. His final target was Chad, the ringleader, the one who tipped the bucket. For Chad, Arthur planned his masterpiece. This wouldn't be a remote attack or a clever trap. This would be a personal performance. Chad, terrified after what happened to his friends, had turned his family's mansion into a fortress with guards and a high-tech security system. He thought he was safe, but he didn't realize he was dealing with an artist. Arthur spent a month studying the mansion. He didn't plan to break in, he planned to be invited. He bought a controlling interest in the security company that protected Chad's house. He was now in charge of Chad's safety. On a dark, moonless night, the final performance began. Arthur disabled the entire security system remotely. Then, his crew, a team of disgraced circus performers he'd hired, descended on the mansion. They neutralized the guards with tranquilizer darts, dressed them in oversized clown costumes, and painted weeping smiles on their faces. Arthur's crew transformed the ground floor into a carnival house of horrors. They replaced every painting with funhouse mirrors. They filled the floors with thousands of balloons, creating a shimmering, shifting sea. The lights were rewired to a strobe, and a loop of distorted circus music played over the intercom. When Chad finally came out of his bedroom, he stepped into a nightmare. His terrified face was warped and multiplied in 100 mirrors. He waded through a knee-deep ocean of balloons. The strobing lights and haunting music were overwhelming. He called for his guards, but only his own panicked voice echoed back. Then, at the far end of the hall, he saw him. Sitting on his father's armchair was Pippin. He looked just as he had at the festival, but now the dripping paint and gentle smile looked terrifying. Arthur just sat there, head tilted, watching. Chad screamed, "I'll kill you! You're just a ghost!" He raised a pistol, hands shaking. As he aimed, Arthur just honked the red rubber nose on his face. Squeak. That tiny comical sound shattered what was left of Chad's mind. He fired wildly, the bullets ricocheting and shattering the mirrors. He emptied the gun into the armchair, but when he was done, Pippin was gone. The chair was empty. Chad backed away, turning to run. And there he was. Pippin, standing right behind him. Chad didn't even scream. A massive heart attack stopped him cold. He collapsed, his wide eyes reflecting a painted smile, and sank into the sea of balloons. The punchline was perfect. He had literally died of fear at the squeak of a clown's nose. Arthur Pinstripe stood over the body and felt nothing. No satisfaction, no relief. The gentle soul was truly gone. He turned, walked out of the mansion, and disappeared into the night. The events at the mansion became the final horrifying chapter in the legend of the Harmony Creek Clown. The official story was a bizarre home invasion, but no one believed it. They knew the truth. Pippin the Clown had taken his final bow. Arthur Pinstripe was never seen again. He vanished, leaving behind only a legacy of terror. He became more than a man. He became a cautionary tale. The monster parents in the fictional town of Harmony Creek warned their children about. They say that on quiet nights, you can still hear the faint echo of a circus tune on the wind. And they say that if you ever see a single, stray red balloon, you should run. Because it means the clown is watching. The gentle party clown was gone, replaced by a boogeyman in grease paint, who proved that when you make a good man snap, the echo can last forever. So, what do you think of this story? Do you believe his revenge was justified? Or did he become a monster himself? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this story, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more tales that walk the fine line between hero and villain. Thanks for watching.